o'clock this morning, and I answered a door for one of the sheriffs and he came to the, he told me that I should leave my house and go someplace else. And I asked him why, and he says, well, I asked him what was happening, and he says, well, a group of Indian people were taking over Mission Lake church out there with weapons and that. And either it was supposed to go someplace else, get out of the house and go someplace else, or else stay in the house and lock the doors and not let anyone in.
Did anything happen?
No, no trouble.
How close do you live to the novitiary?
2 miles.
Right now, Green Bay police are releasing very few details on the alleged murder-suicide which occurred here last night. However,
The spirit of the people here is great. We believe in what we are doing. We have confidence that we will win. Repeating the question, too. So if we can get Dennis here.
Well, I want to say this, that as a negotiator, that our job is going to be twofold. One of them, of course, is to explore every possible resource available to us to see that this land is restored to the through the Menominee Warrior Society back to Menominee Indian control. And we've been doing this a number of ways. This morning, as a negotiator, our job, of course, is also to make sure that we are negotiating in an atmosphere of positive manner. But we can't negotiate knowing that the concerned white citizens, headed by Adolf Kruger, are rallying the bigots in Shawano, encouraging them to take the law into their own hands. This morning, as some of you know, that there was a meeting, that there were rifles and weapons brought to this meeting, and that these people are organizing to, as they say, storm the Abbey. And we challenged them to a meeting tomorrow, where we hope to communicate to them that they've had the law into their own hands for a great number of years, and they've misused it. And now the shoe is on the other foot, and certainly if they have made a decision to storm the area, let them enforce that decision. I think it would be senseless for them to attempt to do this, because these are people are organizing under a very irresponsible person by the name of Adolf Kruger, who on August 9th, 1966, was arrested for felonious rape. And if this is the kind of leadership that Shawano, that the white concerned citizens are getting behind, then we can understand readily what the problems are in Shawano. They are being misled, and that they are being misguided. There's misdirection, and I can understand what the past history of injustice to Indian people in this county are, if that's the kind of people that they listen to. Afternoon, Marlin met with, or he should have met with Governor Brown in California to encourage Governor Lucey to continue the ceasefire and to continue the peaceful mood that has developed since the Guard took over this past Monday. And also, I have urged Marlon to come here to Kashina, and he will let us know probably tomorrow if he can come here in the near future. Now, I'm sure that they don't understand the objectives of the Menominee or of the takeover themselves, because they're the ones that are distorting the true picture. They're the ones that are rallying around false issues of that Indian people are looting and plundering and shooting cattle. And we talked to some of the farmers, two of the farmers. I said that these were the guys that were distorting the true story of what's going on out here.
Do you have white supporters here with you from out?
I have not had much of a chance to see what the press or the news media has had. We've been without power for up until 2 days ago.
Do you have a television here that you've seen newscast or radio?
We have a television here, yes.
Will you invite us back at another time if you have something else to say?
In all probability, yes.
One question on the negotiations conducted under...
It could end Monday. It could end 3 months from now. You got this big where you've got this amount of people. You have to have those type of services provided. You've got a janitorial service, a kitchen service. Now, with the presence of the arrival of the doctor, we have medical facilities that are available to the occupants.
You mean seeing some sort of...
Food has been brought in.
Well, talking about people coming through the National Guard lines that are not...
Right. Trying here to try to provide for our people. I see no stumbling block. Now, the only stumbling block that might come would be these vigilantes under this Adolf someone or other. If he was to try to come and storm this building, we would have to defend ourselves. And that would hamper our negotiations.
But don't you think the Guard would stop them before they got here?
I would hope they would.
Now, a lot of people don't understand that we have the funds. The funds are in Washington. And $55 million of last year's your taxes were paid out supposedly for Indians, but it all went to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and didn't go to Indian tribes, see. And for us to get the money that we have coming to us, either from Congress or from land sale, land lease, we have to go and ask the Bureau of Indian Affairs, who are kind of like the banker, and that sometimes takes years. It certainly takes lawyers. It certainly takes public attention. Also, I'm here as a teacher. I'm a school teacher. And really, legal research is desperately needed.
Where did you fly in from?
From Chicago, and before then from Nashville. I was getting a terrible name because of it, and I understand these situations. I've been in these situations before. I have to check into that. I've also been told about a couple of girls who were arrested and kind of roughed up by the police, which, okay, that happens a lot sometimes, but I understand they were stripped naked and put in a cell for 4 hours with no clothes. So I have to find out about that. And what I find out, I'm going to let the whole world know. Also, I've heard, now, these are just things that I've been told. I've been told that the Menominees, in order to cut wood, have to get a permit. And yet the Sheriff's Department has been cutting and burning Menominee wood. Now, there is something that I think both sides will benefit from definitely, namely a school and a hospital. And one more thing will be definitely legal research. Both sides will benefit. You have to straighten these things out in order that whatever degree of assimilation is going to happen can happen, because if the schools in the year 2000 have no racism, no prejudice, fine, everybody's kids will go to school together.
Society are concerned with the news coverage of the Menominee occupation of the Alexian Brothers in Novitiate and Gresham, Wisconsin. Press releases have distorted the truth and have not brought to light the real issue of this action. It is unfortunate that the American press does not respect its own rights of freedom and responsibility to the American people enough to convey the news in an honest, forthright manner. We are also concerned with the rights and safety of non-Indian people who live on Menominee land that was fraudulently sold to them by the United States government in the state of Wisconsin. But because of the intervention of non-Indian vigilantes, the continuance of the ceasefire and peaceful negotiations are being jeopardized. The Menominee Warrior Society would like to reestablish the validity of the occupation under provisions of United States Codes annotated Title 25, subsection 280 under the Constitution of the United States, which states the Secretary of Interior is authorized and directed to issue a patent to duly authorized missionary board or to other proper authority of any religious organization engaged in mission or schoolwork on any Indian reservation for such lands therein as were prior to September 21, 1922, set apart to and were on that date being actually and beneficially used to occupy by such organizations solely for mission or school purposes. The area so patented to not exceed 160 acres to any one organization at any station, provided that such patent shall provide that when no longer used for mission or school purposes, said land shall revert to Indian owners.
Documented quite well because we have hospitals in black ghetto areas, we have hospitals in Chicano areas, a clinic in Boys Town, Nebraska, and we do work in South Carolina, other cities. So this is not a new situation for us. In fact, this is what we desire. The Indians that are currently representing or occupying the novitiate feel that they have not had proper representation. In our proposal, we have proposed that an advisory council be established that reports directly to the Wisconsin Indian Task Force so that they would have a direct voice to the policy-setting body. We also propose, and this has been a continuous thing from the beginning, that the facility be operated to as great a degree as possible by the Indians, because we believe that for...
The biggest concern that I have is to try to resolve it as soon as possible, because
I want to indicate that the present situation is definitely stable. Again, I want to reiterate, there is no known injury to person either in the novitiate, outside the novitiate, or persons that have been released. At this point, there's been no substantial property damage that we are aware of. We have had individuals who have gone on the grounds of the novitiate and observed it. We do not believe they have attempted to destroy the novitiate at this point. And I would indicate that we have maintained our security at the same points continuously and throughout this point. We have not moved forward and we have not retreated. We have not increased our manpower in any areas except we felt the potential danger and we felt that there was a need for the protection of our men. The directive to our men, and it's been fully related to the people in novitiate, is to hold their fire at all costs, not to shoot. We do not want to have personal injury involved. However, our men have been instructed that no one is to enter the area, no one is to leave the area. They are to be detained in both regards. We've indicated that if they feel that they are in danger, they can use reasonable force to withstand reasonable force. That is, as we advise any other officer in any other situation. And they have to use reasonable force, as I say, as under their judgment. At this time, I want to inform you that telephone communication into the novitiate and out of the novitiate has been cut off. This was done at approximately 9:40 p.m. last evening. At that time, we immediately connected a hotline between the novitiate and the Sheriff's Department. That hotline is in the Sheriff's Department. I have communicated with individuals in the novitiate after the communications outside, on outside lines, was cut off. In other words, they know that hotline is there. In addition to the hotline, they still have a radio in the novitiate. We do radio them. We direct them to pick up the hotline that we want to talk to them. And they have been at certain times responding to that, and we have got our message through. I want to emphasize at this point one thing, the most important thing, that negotiations are still open. The reasons for cutting off the telephone line are not going to be explained. I think some of them are obvious. But negotiations have not been cut off. Artley Skinador, Mike Spencer are both available here. They are willing to go back and negotiate when a time can be set. Now, the terms of the negotiations, names, so I do not know, Sheriff. I want to give you some names, and you'll have to try to determine spellings at a later time. And I want to emphasize, this is our officers, both from the State Patrol, time, and we don't have the best accommodations for them. In Wausau, we have Sergeant Bill Frederick from the state. That would be Lorraine Zurin, who is with the Shawano County Sheriff's Department, and Officer Milton.
Very early in the morning on New Year's Day, Brother Florian.
Could we move over?
New Year's Day, Brother Florian delegated Mr. Bennett and myself to speak for the interest and the concerns of the Alexian brothers in trying to resolve peacefully the vacation and the termination of the problem that we have at our novitiate in Gresham, Wisconsin. We tried to respond to the demands of the spokesmen of the men, women, and children who occupied the novitiate, that we talk to them. We make ourselves available now to renew meaningful negotiations in the negotiating process and assist in any way we can in cooperation with the district attorney. Mr. Bennett and myself both will make ourselves available to doing this in as meaningful a way as we can. As far as the actual proposal that we wrote and presented to the spokesman at the novitiate, I would ask Mr. Bennett if he would comment and present that.
Thank you.
Excuse me, but we were told not to. Could we just have one more minute?
Now, we have been dealing and working with the Wisconsin Indian Task Force in establishing a health care facility at the novitiate with primary emphasis on an alcoholic rehabilitation center. It was a surprise to us as anyone else that the occupation that took place on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And after learning about that, we found that there was some poor communications by virtually all parties concerned, in that the Wisconsin Indian Task Force could possibly have communicated better to all the Indians, that the Alexian Brothers of America could have been more informative than what they were, and that the Indians that are currently occupying our facility could have come forth and asked any of us at any time for what was happening in these regards. We really feel, honestly, that this is a situation.
Yeah, well, I get understanding of why they're up there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, tell us, you know a lot of the people who are up there. What's Why'd they go up there in the first place?
This is a church-owned land up there, and the church is no longer in existence. And by rights, they said that the land would be turned over to the Indian people to be used by the Indian people, Menominees.
Do you know how many people are up there, and have they got food?
Well, there's enough to keep themselves there for as many days as possible, as needed.
Do you know if they are running low, and do you have any plans to get food to them?
Yes.
And the state patrol won't let you through, and they won't let you take any milk to the children.
No, you just heard them. No. If we leave the bags here, they're going to put us in jail for littering.
Are they,
These armed guards. We're unarmed. This is a peaceful demonstration. I think that's fair.
Call Joe over. We'll talk to you. Here, come on.
And I think they should guard people back. I'm like, let's make camera. Do you want to make camera with us? We're here peacefully. Brothers, everything, join them back. Pull back, police! Pull back, police! Pull back, police! Police! Pull back, 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 police! Pull back! Pull back!
The Alexian brothers have made it clear they have no intention of giving the monastery away outright to the Indian group. They do maintain, however, that negotiations are still open, and the next move is up to the people inside the monastery. Roger Frisky, Channel 5 Eyewitness News. The Alexian brothers have made their position clear. They have no intention of giving the monastery away outright to the Indian group, but they maintain, however, that negotiations are still open. Today, the Shawano County authorities finally broke their long silence. They maintain that the situation inside the monastery is stable, no one has been hurt, no property's been damaged, and negotiations are still on. The next move, however, is up to the people inside the monastery.
Jim Wright here. Jim Wright. When the President first called this summer, he pulled the Buffalo Star, which was his representative. I can say once again that the peaceful demonstration, they want to get these parts here, to throw out the flags for the people in there, and to get them dragged down, pulled down, or get their flags and pulled away from the monastery. If there's no voice, you speak today. I'm from the Milwaukee Worker, a revolutionary workers' paper down in Milwaukee, to advance the interests of the people. This kind of dedication, any country, to see the Native American people stand up, is an inspiration to all people. So long use the resources and the territory of the Menominee to further their own wealth. It has caused so much misery for people here and around the world. We have the same system, like the brother was saying before, that's ripping off the people.